Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Welcome to another episode of It Takes Two, the program where we explore the challenges that naturally occur in marriage and try to help people to come up with solutions and ways of looking forward and of working together amicably and lovingly. This week I have with me my co-host, Sister Ruby Sowa. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Ruby. And we have Sheikh Ahmed Hanif. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother. How
Excellent to have you. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So we're going to hope to tax you today, Sheikh. We've got some really deep letters. The first one is from a brother, and it reads, "Dear It Takes Two, I am looking to find a wife, but it's difficult to do so in the community. My parents are involved in the community and they aren't aware of many families. I have worked and volunteered in different Islamic organizations and I still have not found a potential wife. Please advise," from an anonymous brother in the UK.
Yeah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I think one of the problems that cause difficulty in finding a spouse, he hints at here, that his family is not involved in the community, right? And I think the community, by and large, is still basically a kind of a foreign community in the sense that the majority of people in the community are from Asia, you see. And to get married to somebody requires a certain level of personal knowledge of the person you want to get married to, okay? And one of the things that gives a person a profile in the community in terms of their marriageable state and so on is their presence in the community, okay? For example, the tradition is that parents will talk about their kids who need to get married. You know what I mean? So if you're a parent, I'm a parent, I have a child ready to get married, you have a child ready to get married, and they're the opposite gender, I talk to you and I make suggestions and so forth. This also occurs. So part of the problem in getting married is basically a non-integrated community, okay?
As in different communities that originate from different regions in the world.
Different communities which may have different levels of crises in terms of finding spouses to marry, I think that's one particular problem. The other one is, I think, basically institutional forms that could aid in marriage, like, for example, matchmaking services, which is still quite undeveloped or underdeveloped in the Shia community. The third thing is when we look at marriage patterns here in the society in general, you find that people get married to people who they share a similar space with, a common space with. So you might tend to get married, for example, to people who go to universities, the same university you're going to, you know what I mean? Or you can get married to, for example, somebody, a co-worker, that type of thing, you see? So you have these three forms. I think the first two forms are really much more sure from an Islamic point of view.
Okay, let me just bring in my Sister Ruby. Sister Ruby, what you sound like I'm anticipating some kind of direction or advice for the brother as well, like in terms of what you can do.
I think it's just putting yourself out there, being involved in various communities. I think in the Shia community we tend to close off and go into our safe zones. So if people don't see you or haven't seen you, they're not going to make that first or second or third step. So the brother hinted that he does a lot of volunteering and stuff, but the question is, where is he volunteering? What kind of things? Is he expressing to people that he's available for marriage, for example? Putting feelers out there. Even amongst sisters, there's a group of sisters, say elder sisters who were married and established, that he could go to maybe and say, sister. I'm looking to...
There are some marriage brokers out there, sisters.
Exactly. But even established people in whatever community centre or Islamic centre to say, you know, if anyone comes along, please bear me in mind, example. But it's about putting yourself out there. As the Sheikh said, unfortunately in the Shia community, we are not established and organised enough to have events where brothers and sisters can come and mingle in a halal way with their parents. There's not a lot of overlap when it comes to different Shia communities. So if you're in Stanmore, you'll probably stick to Stanmore. If you're in London, maybe Maida Vale, etc. People, we don't really tend to branch out to see what's out there. Whereas in the Sunni community, there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of integrating to see, oh, what is your centre doing? What can you provide, etc. Well, we basically stick to what we feel safe with, and that's a problem.
You've mentioned something important about the geographical locations that communities arise in. This brother mentions community, but I'm aware that amongst the different Shia centres, they tend to be along ethnic lines. Is it possible the brother may need to widen his scope in terms of inter-ethnic possibilities? It sounds like he said the community. It's you know, I'm from this particular heritage.
Well, maybe he's not, or he doesn't have family that are known to people. They may not even be Muslim, we don't know. They may be in another country and he's here making a livelihood, whatever. I think he needs to branch out, as I said. Go to different places, put the word out there, and just keep trying, as I said, you know, we tend to stick to what we have an affiliation to, and we don't tend to branch out for whatever reason.
How can
we promote that, Sheikh?
I think there's a trend that is taking place now where the younger generation Muslims, like I would assume this person is, are looking outside of their ethnic groups as well.
Okay.
They look within their own ethnic group and they're also looking outside their ethnic group.
They're very open-minded,
they're more open-minded, yes.
Generation.
You see, because the dominant cultural paradigm that they live with is the Western paradigm. You know, like for example, they're very much English, let's say, right? They're very much British in their consciousness. Okay, so you would find that, for example, a Pakistani man or woman growing up in this environment might have much more in common with an Iraqi man or woman growing up in this environment, right, than they would have with a Pakistani in Pakistan.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Okay, so and there might be more even dissatisfaction that might occur in a marriage with somebody from back home as opposed to my marriage with somebody here.
Because of the experiences.
Yes, and different value structures and so on, right? So you do find more and more young people looking outside of their ethnic group, right? And therefore, I think going against their parents' prejudices, because their parents do have prejudices.
You about the generational tensions, because the parents may want the young person, if they're from Pakistani background, to marry somebody from back home, whereas they may have their sights set elsewhere. Yeah,
I mean, what that does is for a lot of people, it creates conflict. You know what I mean? And I think for independent-minded or autonomous thinking types of Muslim youth, you would find some conflict between them and their parents, because if you're talking about something that is a life choice, you know what I mean? It's a stage in your life that is very important, that they need to challenge their parents on.
Well, traditionally it was, sorry to interject, it was, as long as you find someone that's Muslim, we don't mind. And then it became, well, as long as it's from the same city or town, or then we don't mind. And it's not necessarily, I wouldn't use it the race card, it's trying to hold on to your cultural identity. Because when you're living in the West or away from where you're ethnically from, it does trickle down. You start to lose some of your identity. And sometimes older parents, just to not always bash them, they're trying to hang on to their cultural identity, and they're afraid that if something else comes into the mix, well, who will carry that, that identity card with them? But as Sheikh Ahmad said, with the young, they're more open, their experiences are more universal. Say for a sister who's wearing hijab, she doesn't mind if you're from Malaysia, Somalia. The experience of wearing hijab is what pulls you guys together.
Yes, yes.
And that's what we're finding with the youth. And I think they're trying to make progress, alhamdulillah, with that.
How can we support the young people as a community? You mentioned functions, but like what in more concrete terms, what type of things?
In terms
we
of
need
marriage,
Yeah.
I think, for example, we improve our matchmaking services. I think centers should have databases, of people who are marriageable and who are looking to get married, and I think that okay, fine, if they want to sort of like give a priority to their own community database, right? But if you can't find somebody in your community database appropriate to marriage, then you could exchange information with other centers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think we need
That's
to
what you
have
hope for, that there will be a network.
Yeah. I don't think such a network exists, right? And if it does, it's probably very, very impersonal. It's not impersonal, but very personal. Very, very limited. I think you need to have that as well.
I think we need to have special events to bring people together in a halal way.
Maybe the type of event.
But more like that's matchmaking in a kind of.
Yes, but in a subtle way, because sometimes if you go to these events, you
like
feel
a
that.
halal speed dating, or
well, if you want to call it that, that's fine. But I think most sisters will feel a bit uncomfortable with that. But just places where people can come together, but have the separation in a halal way between male and female, but they can, observe what's going out there. Their parents are with them, so you can see what's out there, and you can remember again. Go back to America. There were people who would come from all over the world for this event. It was an Islamic conference thing from all over the world and all over the US. And the intention was there were speakers there were events there, you could buy products there were stalls, there were lots of things you could do if you wanted to. But you would come into contact with people. And I remember sisters who had sons would come and say, to a younger sister, "Assalamu alaikum, you're really cute. Are you thinking about getting married? I have a son." And then she's like, "Oh, let me go get my mum." And then the mums would start talking over a cup of tea and exchanging numbers. It doesn't mean that something would happen, but that's how you would have a wider pool of people to select from.
You actually create an environment where things like that can
Exactly. Barbecues, the parents are there. I'm not suggesting anything where anything untowards would happen, but you get a bigger pool of people.
It can be done.
And the parents would say, "Oh, I think, you like sports. I think my son would really be interested in you. Where do you live? Houston? Okay, I live in Houston. Maybe we should put you guys together and be there. Maybe we should all go out for coffee and see how you feel." I think we should have things like that instead of because it breaks down the different sects and communities. It brings them in a situation where they can merge, and you can see what happens.
What's wrong with us in the UK then? Because they seem more advanced than America. That sounds like a good idea, but
in the UK,
haven't we got there yet?
We're very slow. Everybody has bright ideas, but nobody puts in the effort. And again, I think a lot of the time we depend on the scholars and leaders of the community to do all the work, when really it should be us. Someone should take the initiative. And I think it's almost like it's somebody else's problem. If it doesn't affect you, then you don't need to worry about it. Someone else would deal with it. That's what.
But I think what you're talking about there is another aspect of basically what would come under the matchmaking thing. Because matchmaking can take place on a personal level, on a private level. Okay, there's another aspect of matchmaking which is taking place on a communal level. So where you, for example, you would hire out a hall and have a program. You know what I mean? And this program is the excuse basically for people to come together.
Yes.
And meet, and exchange information and so on, because they are there specifically to find potential marriage partners. No, I think this is very important. It's very good, a good strategy according to the times that we live in. Okay, I think the ideal, would be the ideal would be a community so integrated, that we know we can vouch for people in our community. You see? With something like this, you might bring people all over from England, right? They're not part of your community. You see, so you have to get to know these people.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And it has its risks.
Yeah, because nothing's...
Yeah? Yeah, but if, for example, we have a community where, for example, communal prayers, okay, are seen as important, so people come to that. The functions that we have in our centers, people come to that.
Right.
You know, we have camps, we have different types of events and so on that are taking place, activities that are taking place. People come to that and they, you know, people become more and more familiar with each other, you know, you see? And so, you know, basically a little more about the akhlaq, you know, the personality of the people that are coming into.
You see, because you've seen
Yes,
people.
exactly.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So, I think the matchmaking thing is good, right? But I think what is even better, you know, is for us to be so communally involved, right? That I know that what family you are. So if I want to get my girl married to you, to your son, for example, right? I know she's getting married to a good family, let's say. You see, because we have gone back so many years together, working in the mosque, being involved in these different types of activities, etc., etc.
Just taking it back to matchmaking, just one step back though, Sheikh, because I mean that is a way forward what you mentioned, but the matchmaking, I'm thinking about the time of the Masumin, like is there texts or you know sayings from them that talk about thawab, maybe like as an encouragement for people to get involved in this.
Indeed.
I'm married, I'm all right, so I'm all right, or maybe still benefit to help.
Indeed. You have many
unmarried.
hadith that talk about the amount of thawab a person gets for bringing people together in marriage. For the matchmaker. But he doesn't talk about matchmaking. They don't talk about matchmaking on a communal level. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, a matchmaking organization puts on something.
Yeah.
Okay? Which, of course, it can fall under the same category of providing resources for people to get married. But yeah, they talk about matchmaking.
What I wanted to also bring in is that we have this assumption, but just because you're Muslim, you're going to automatically have a solid family foundation. You may come from a family that's Muslim who are not religious, who don't come to centres or whatever, so you don't have them vouching for you. Yeah. Or you might be someone who's away from their family. I'm sure we have these situations, so what do they do in those type of situations? Because you're basically doing everything yourself, especially when you talk about putting yourself out there. What do we do for people who don't have family or brother or someone who can vouch for them?
Well, I mean,
I don't believe the scenario is that unique.
I think on that level, what you need is two things, right? One is the raw personality of that person, what they're presenting, and this is, you know that person by interacting with them, okay? If it's a person that just comes out of the blue and they want to get married because I'm a Muslim and you know, it's my right to get married, and here I am from Greenland, for example. You know what I'm saying? You'd be in big trouble to sort of like take that risk, right?
Nobody knows this guy. Who's this guy?
Yeah, you know. And the second part is that there are certain universal things that we all agree upon as to what is good character, for example. You know what I mean? What is a proper parent? You know, for example, let's say there is a person who became Muslim. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
You have a person who became Muslim.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And they don't have Muslim parents. Right? And that person wants to get married. If they were interested in marrying my daughter or son, for example, right, I will still visit that parent. Because there are certain universal standard rules as to what is a good parent,
right.
What is a disciplined home,
yes,
you know,
yes,
what is respect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, because Islam is not just a religion. Islam is a common sense way of life. You see? And so you can learn from them and say, well, okay, this is a good family, you know, that's fine.
Well, I'd like to interject, that's not necessarily always the case. With family members, I'm sure we all have them, you have some crazy members of your family. They could be your parents. There's no way you'd want somebody to come into your home where your mum is saying, well, do you have a 401k? What car are you driving? What is your profession? I'm sorry, why are you here? you know, that could be problematic. So that doesn't really, I mean, in this day and age, we're thinking about past and during the Prophet's time where there was like a tribe mentality, and they would go and roam, and then they'll find another tribe, and then they'll come back and then say, oh, there's 5 girls over here, 7 boys over there, let's go over. It's not like that anymore. And I just really feel for the brother. And you were saying that, you know, it's about character and stuff, but sorry, but when we're in public, we put on our best persona. It doesn't necessarily mean that in a marriage, what you see is what you get. You might be, you know, something different.
You need to do your investigation before you get married, but there's only realistically so much you can do. But I just want to think. I was just thinking aloud about the point of seeing somebody's parents, because regardless of what background they've come from in terms of theology, you still might get clues. It's not the ultimate answer, but you'll get a sign if somebody comes from a group. You know, like in terms of if you visit somebody's parents or you interact with their family, you might have an idea of what kind of family
Sometimes
they come from. It doesn't give you the ultimate answer, but it may be you're building a case, right?
But
they call it
sometimes the
courting because you're
parents
looking for
won't even
evidence.
want
So
to see you.
Say again?
The parents might not be available, and they
If
may
they're not
not
available,
want
you
to
can't see them.
you.
But if they are available, it may behoove you to check them out.
He may be interested in, for example, someone from another culture, and then he's from a different culture, and then there's no way the parents are going to be like, oh, come and visit our daughter or whatever. They'll be like,
Well, you see, that would
still
set
provide
up,
you information.
That can set up some alarm bells. That can set up some alarm bells. Because you see, knowing the family of the prospective spouse is very important.
but what if you don't have family? We have so many people who don't have family in the
Different.
community.
That's different.
So what do they do then?
I think,
Oh.
yeah, but I think
Go on, I'm going to get to that.
it is not absolutely essential. It's very important, right? And family means not just parents. You know, it can mean uncles, aunts, siblings. You know, you have to get
Relatives,
an idea.
yeah,
Relatives,
yeah.
right? Not only this, in other words, you need to have information about this person from people that they're intimate with, like close friends, co-workers, you know, the sheikh in the society, the community that he comes to, he attends, you know, his family. You need important information from these people, right? In order to make a judgment. You see, you can't just go on surface value, you know, how that person presents him or herself to you.
Is there overemphasis on family, the importance of family? Because there are...
Why do you say that?
Why do I say that? Because there are situations where there are visible problems, cultural differences, where you may be attracted to someone and like someone, but the boy won't dare tell his family that he's planning to marry this girl because it's just not what they would expect.
But even that's important to know.
Well,
as opposed to saying,
but a lot
so you can't see them if they don't want to see you, or you think, well, you know, my parents, I'll be honest with you, my parents are kind of racist, but I like you for you, so I'm prepared to marry you. Like,
I don't think, can you even Islamically do that without your parents' permission? Marry somebody that you're...
Well, nobody can't get married? Or
it depends,
contextual?
right? It depends.
See, corrupting people.
If the person is seen to be Rashid or Rashida, and what that means is mature, known well to make proper decisions, you know, independent in their livelihood. For example, they might have their own job, you know, and that type of a thing. That person can make an independent decision as to who they're going to get married to. Imagine, for example, a woman who is 33 years old, let's say, and she hasn't been married yet. You know, that person really is responsible enough to be able to make an independent decision. As opposed to, let's say, for example, a girl who is, let's say, maybe 17.
Still living at home.
Still living at home, and that type of a thing, right? You know, at that point, you know, the parents' role is going to be much more important. The parents have a veto power where marriage is concerned. You know,
well, going
so
back to this brother, I think he should also, again, speak to the sisters of the community and put the word out. Sometimes they can be really helpful because they have their ears on the ground.
The sisters have a network, right?
We always do. So, and just see what's, what's out there, or give suggestions and stuff.
It might be difficult for him to get to the sisters if he, in terms of,
Well,
unless he's part of a youth group, let's say.
He mentions he's a volunteer or something
Yeah,
like this. So he needs to,
so I
in
mean,
those
it
circles.
requires, to get the word out there to the sisters. It's right, but maybe he might need to get that through to a third party or something.
Well,
Yeah.
someone from the masjid.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So Sheikh, how can we sort of summarize this section with a little bit of takeaway advice or bullet points for the brother in this situation?
A brother like this, a good point is what the sister mentioned. Put the word out there, right? In the communities that you're volunteering at, put the word out there,
sisters.
especially to the sisters, right? Very important. The other one is we need structural types of things on the ground to be able to help facilitate this. For example, shared databases between different centers, working on establishing matchmaking services.
Okay.
Events.
And events in those matchmaking type of activities. And going beyond our comfort zone, right? And entertain the possibility of marrying outside of one's particular ethnic group.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. So I guess it means being bold. To the brother, be bold. Don't feel that it's anything strange or to be shy about in terms of approaching elder sisters in the community or letting elders know that you are, inshallah, hoping to meet somebody for marriage. We're going to stop for a break at this point, and we hope to see you on the other side. Until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.